All right, so starting in classic mode, whenever I am using classic mode, I always press this button up here. You can see where my mouse is pointing, the one to the left. And this will open up a mixer inside of classic mode. So as a DJ, we're used to using these volume faders going up and down. So it's great to have those volume faders available to us so we can do nice smooth blends or cut the song in and out. But also, in one of the updates, they made this screen even better by adding this button down here. It's kind of hidden. It says EQ. And then, boom, we have lows, mids, and highs. And we have our small volume slider. And then also, they managed to put the volume slider within the audio limiter. So you could see the levels of the song, and you could still use the volume control. I thought it was really cool how they got that in there. So if you catch me using classic mode, you will see this screen on. And now let's move on to pro mode, and I'll show you how I use that. And then we'll go over to the settings inside the menu. All right, so pro mode. All right, so in pro mode, you can change the waveforms from horizontal to vertical by pressing this kind of hidden button here. It's an arrow next to the 2 or the 1. And then you could set it on vertical waveforms. If you're used to using vertical waveforms, this will help. But I always have it set on the horizontal waveforms. I find it much easier to be able to see what's going on. And another thing you could do in this mode is if you go back to the same button, you could take the jog wheels off so you get a bigger view of the waveforms. But I don't use that mode. But one mode that I always use is dark mode. So if you look at the screen, you'll see it right now. It's on dark mode. Now I'm going to turn it off. And what it does is it changes the color behind the waveforms. And this gives you a more crisp, more precise view of the waveforms. And I found it to be very helpful, especially in situations where it's hard to see the iPad, like if you're DJing outside or something. So I would highly recommend putting dark mode on. It makes it so much easier to see everything. All right. Next, we are going to go to the BPM. And I don't know why it's at 8. So you could set the range of the BPM. So right now it's at 8. So this is 100 BPM. So if we go all the way up, it's going to be 108. And then if we go all the way down, it is going to be 92. But I like to do a little bit of bigger BPM transitions from large BPM to small BPM and vice versa. So I usually keep it either at 16 or 25. So now all the way up, you get to go to 125, all the way down to 75. Just keep in mind that the higher you make it, like if you put it all the way up to 75, the less precise it'll be when you move the tempo slider. So I really prefer to keep it on like 16 or 25 so I could do nice, smooth manual beat matching. All right, so now let's open up the actual settings of the app. In order to get to the settings, what we're going to do is we're going to go up here to the middle button. And then we are going to go down here, the button all the way to the right. That's the settings icon. And now this is our settings menu. I always keep the volume not all the way at the end, just pretty close, just to keep the audio from getting distorted. Audio device setup. So I'll make a separate one on my settings for when I use a controller, but this is just for my general settings for if I'm not using a controller. So general. So protect active deck. What that does is it prevents you from loading a song on a deck that already has something on it or something playing. So, and going down a little bit farther, we're going to be at sync type. You can either have it set by BPM and beats or just BPM. I recommend to keep it at BPM and beats because sometimes, like I said, it could be hard to manually adjust those tempo sliders. So being able to get an instant change of the BPM by just pressing the sync button once instead of trying to precisely move that slider, I highly recommend keeping that on. And then jump to cue point, I have start cue. You could set it to Q.1 or you could set it to earliest Q. I found on start point is what I'm used to from the older apps, and I just haven't changed it, so I would recommend keeping it on that. And then also in this menu, you could change the tempo slider, but we already did that. It's going to be at 16. And then the start time and the stop time. This might automatically be different than 0 depending on when you're using the app. So check on this, because what this does is start time is the amount of time it takes for the song to get playing. Just like if you turn the record on it, like as it would get up to speed. So let me just put it on the highest one and show you what it sounds like. So you could do like cool DJ tricks with it, but I don't like to have it on there when I'm DJing and not using it for a trick. Like I have it set to 0. It might be set to like 0.3 or 0.4 depending on where you're using the app. And then stop time, I have at 0. This, you could put it really high if you want to do like a large to small BPM transition. There's a couple of tricks you could do, but for the most part, I keep it at 0. All right, and then snap loops to beat grid. I found that to be really helpful. All right, next into the settings. Library. Options, remove songs from played. That's when you're using the Q section of the library, and then whenever you play a song it gets removed. This really helps you not to double play songs, which is something you never want to do as a DJ. Show artwork. That means that in classic mode, it is going to show the album art. So this one's showing the DJ Qbert album art. But if we turn it off, where were we? Oh, I'm sorry. It shows the artwork in the library. So if we're here in the library, you see how there's no artwork. It's just either it shows the source of the music. So now if we show the artwork and go back, library, show artwork, done. And now it shows the artwork. All right. Moving right along. I think I skipped sound, or yeah, we'll go back to that. Right now we are in the library settings. So show key in different colors. If you look up here, this is where the key of the song is displayed. So if we turn that off, it just turns it white. I just thought it was cool to have another colorful feature on the app, so I keep it on just because it looks cool. I don't really use the key that much when I'm mixing. And then this is where you could log out of your streaming service in case you get like it gets freezes or something like that, or you want to use a different account. I would recommend keeping the streaming quality on recommended, just like the app says. You could do high and you could do really high, but I wasn't able to tell the difference. All right, so now let's go back to sound. Crossfader curve, I keep it on default, but with a lot of other DJ softwares and DJ hardwares, DJs are used to different setup crossfader. So this is where you could find that, but I'm used to it on default. EQ type, classic. The neural mix EQ. You could have it to be drums, harmonic, or vocals, which I have it, which makes more sense to me. Or you could have it drum, bass, and melodic, whatever is more useful to the way you DJ. Definitely keep the audio limiter on. I always keep that on. Auto gain. This app doesn't have a lot of good controls to control the gain. So the auto gain is really, really good. So I would recommend just keeping it on and not worrying about the gain. And then the auto select. This is for when you have headphones. So I made a lot of videos on how to map controllers that don't have a lot of settings. And I showed you guys how to map the headphone button to be like an effect button or whatever you want it to be. So this app, whenever you move the crossfader to one side, the headphones are going to be listening to the opposite deck. So if the crossfader is to the left, you could hear the song on the right in your headphones. And this prevents you from having to press buttons to be able to listen to certain channels of the headphones. And the app does it really well. Next is appearance. This is what I thought I was talking about. The show full artwork. This is the one that's on the actual jog wheel. So this is, you'll see the whole record is the artwork. And then if you deselect this setting, then you'll see that it's just like in the middle of the record. And I just think it's cool to see the artwork on the app. We already looked at the start cue points. Jog wheel style. The one that it'll be set to, I think, this is in pro mode. Jog wheel style. So this was one of the updates where they gave us all the information in the actual jog wheels in pro mode. If you look now, let's go back. If you look now, this one is compact light, or there's compact dark. But I really like the extended one because it made it easier to scratch and have more control of the jog wheels. So that's the setting I recommend. It's really up to you though. And now we have show bar numbers. That helps you know the beats and bar. That's these numbers over here on the actual waveforms. And then the minute marker, that shows you how many minutes are in the song. So it just helps you know what's going on. A lot of times I DJ without headphones, so it's good to have extra visual cues. Advanced, I keep it like that. So that's how I use DJ Pro AI. That's how I have the app set up while I'm DJing. I hope you guys found value in this and learned something new. If you want to subscribe to the channel, that would be great. And you could give this video a like. Thank you.